What up, y'all? I'm back with another review, and I'm here to review this newest project from Mindswimmer entitled The New Line of Demarcation. Now, y'all seen me review Mindswimmer before. It was actually earlier this year. I reviewed Land of Upright Peoples, or Land of the Upright Peoples. Um, yeah, that was a good project, though. It had one of my favorite tracks so far this year on it with tweaking symbolic gestures. And now we're here with this, man. The Chicago, man. I swear, like everything about that city, the music scene, not just the hip hop scene, just the music scene. Everything from hip hop to the art rock to the jazz. I mean, and Chicago has just been like probably my favorite city for the last 3 years at least. Then there's Detroit. So the Midwest has just been blessing me with great music. Um, and of course then you have certain labels, of course, Mellow Music Group, Rhyme Sayers. Um, but yeah, the Midwest primarily has been just amazing. Even Open Mike Eagle, who's based in LA now, I believe, is from Chicago. So yeah, Chicago is just it. There's no um, shortage. There's no lack of talent oozing out of that city at all. The first track is Bridges Not Walls, which when I first heard this track, um, I did like it, but for some reason, when the second time I heard it, and then as I kept listening to the album, this track just kept clicking, and it might be my favorite track on this project. This is just out there, of course, on the beat, but the second verse from the guy, that the flow that he had was just fantastic, and it's a little political because we talked about um, America's relationship with Mexico, Mexico's relationship with um, America, and of course with the title like that, bridges not walls. Like we need to be building bridges, not walls. So yeah, a little political on this track, and just also talking about having like no limits, no constructs. Um, just well, as deep as space. This is a very cohesive album. You'll pick up on some of the things that I write down in notes, and then how the next track, what the title is like it's just cohesive, and just talking about destroying the darkness that's born from ignorance. Um, yeah, man, this is just fantastic. The next track is Ocean as Deep as Space. I already love the guitar that was infused in this track here. This was a very meditative track, talking about the vibrancy of the sun and the serenity of the moon, talking about stars and how the body is controlled by the mind, and I forget the Intella is sold by the soul, and just the drop in the ocean as deep as space, and how we're well, the girl, I think she's Natasha, just talking about how she's just a wanderer, wondering if she'll when her heart stops beating, will she continue to grow? Um, but yeah, and just talking about opening portals as well. Like this is what this track feels like. Bridges Not Walls feels the exact same way as well. The third track is Will I Stop? Maybe you picked up on what I talked about earlier about how this is cohesive. Like this track, I even wrote this down in my notes on a track that we're gonna get to in a minute. But this whole project just feels like one long song that just keeps transitioning and transitioning and transition. Even little mini, not necessarily transitions, but just little like the track evolves, and then you get this transition into a new track, but it feels like it's all just one track because this is just so good. But yeah, the third track. Just saying like we are frequency, we are vibrations, we are Mindswimmer. And Natasha, I'm pretty sure this is Natasha just saying that she's just like wondering, will I stop growing when my heart stops breathing? Well, when my heart stops and I stop breathing. And she, like I said, she asked in the previous song, which made this track just feel like a transition from the previous track. Well, I feel like it was the same track from previous track. Track number 4, Spiritual Gravity. Just really asking questions here, and this is the first part of this track. Very philosophical. It's on some like stoner, psychedelic, almost art rockish shit here. I really mess with that. there's a band actually called Facts out of Chicago. They're an art rock band. I checked out their project Lifelike. It was cool. So this kind of reminded me of some tracks on there, and just talking about how Natasha talks about how she doesn't have a religion, but if she did, it would be this, worshiping the electricity in each being. And she said, like, my mind whispers to yours, and yours whispers to mine, and the climax is my salvation. I was like, whoa, man, just going, just going places, man. Like this kind of music. See, it's one thing to make this kind of music and what it does to you when you listen to it. The experience is something else. But I wonder what you have to be like. What's it like to make this kind of music, and what kind of mindset, what kind of like, what's your spirituality? How are you feeling spiritually, emotionally, um, um, mentally, maybe even as well as physically? Like, how are you feeling to even think about music like this, to make it? Well, think about music like this, to even make music like this, and then to actually pull it off, to actually go out there and compose something like this. Like, I want where Mindswimmers is like where I want to be, like when I'm like the way I feel when I'm done working out, like I feel right now actually, or how I feel when I'm meditating or when I'm done meditating, like because they've got to be on something else. Not saying that they use drugs or anything, but even if they do, that's fine. If they smoke weed or whatever, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, wherever they are spiritually, mentally, emotionally, to make music like this, it's like, fuck, I need to reach that. The next track is oh, wait a minute, I didn't even finish talking about this track actually. And the guy, I don't know his name. He raps about um people just rising, pretty much. Then the next track is backpedaling. More traditional hip hop here. Like, this is like the most traditional I've ever heard the group sound, like a traditional hip hop group slash band. Um, but yeah, this was a cool track though. This sixth track would, I feel like the fifth track, backpedaling, kind of not paved the way, because it was only one track after this that sounded like this really, but it kind of set the tone for what the next track would sound like, and that track being Funk's Sermon. I got the message here. He was talking about culture and freedom and foundations, and with words like that, I was thinking about the 5% Nation. And I like the nice outro that they had here about, well, not about anything. It was just they were playing a guitar for about 10 seconds, and the track cuts. And then the seventh track, the last track actually, this was a 7-track, 30-minute project, Jericho. Here they're talking about how the walls come tumbling down. This beat Jericho. Talking about open minds, or opening your mind, having uh, your chakra just open up. And there was an outro voicemail, I want to say, likely, about this guy being proud of the team for this project. And he sounded like Saladin Allah, who's on YouTube, who was a member of the 5% Nation, of the Nation of Gods and Earths. It sounded like him. Maybe, I feel like it wasn't him, but it just sounded like him. There was another guy on there too, but he just said something real quick, so I didn't really have much to go off with him. But um, yeah, like when I talk about how this track, like this whole project is just cohesive, mainly because you hear things in the next track that you would have heard. Well, you hear in one track that you might have heard in the previous track, so it makes it cohesive. But just the fact that this feels like um, one long track that has these many um, evolutions, but then it has this, not drastic, but you can tell it's a different song. The transitions into it so smoothly that it just feels like it's just one long track, and they did that for 30 minutes, so that's impressive. Um, but yeah, just how cohesive this is, how artsy it feels, the abstractness of it, the experimental, how alternative it is. It's colorful, it's spiritual, it's freaking mindful, conscious, experimental jazz, future jazz. Like, this is just, all of this is up my alley as far as music goes, and as far as things that I like to read up on or watch documentaries about, or I said read up on, but I also mean like in books and things. Like all of this type of stuff. This is the perfect music for that type of stuff for me to read to, or the kind of stuff that I would watch about on YouTube or on TV. And just this music, even if I'm not reading or not watching something, if I just chill, lay back, and listen to something like this, it's like even if I can just get the instrumentals, so I can meditate to some of this stuff, especially Bridges Not Walls, because that track is fantastic. I would definitely do it. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I like this more than I like Land of Upright Peoples, Land of the Upright Peoples, if that's what it is. But I Tweaking Symbolic Gestures is probably still my favorite track from Mindswimmer at the moment. But the more I listen to Bridge Not Walls, that might change. You never know. Um, but yeah, Mindswimmer, 2 for 2 for me so far. Y'all keep doing what y'all are doing. Be sure to hit the like button if you like this video or this review. Share the review. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and like the content that you see. Also, be sure to hit the like button if you liked this review. Um, I feel like I said like before I just said that. If I think I said it again. So yeah, just like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you haven't heard this project, definitely check it out. I'll leave a link to it in the comment description box below. And that is pretty much it. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next time.